What's up guys, my name is ESO and welcome to the channel. In this video I'm going to be telling you the top 10 best swords in Skyrim. Now I know a lot of other YouTubers have already done this, but this top 10 is based on numbers, usefulness and also a bit of common sense. I will be explaining where needed, why each sword is in the position that it is. Also, if you want to find any of these weapons for yourself, I'll be leaving video guides in the description on how to obtain them all. For argument's sake, we're discarding the enchanting skill and the smithing skill. All the swords in this video can be upgraded at a grindstone. Let's start the list with a few swords that are worth a mention, but didn't make it into the top 10 list. Both the Dragonbone sword and the Daedric sword. I'm going to summarise both of these swords together, because they're very similar. Firstly, they're both left open so that you can enchant them yourself. Secondly, with a skill of 100 smithing and some know-how, it's no secret that you can make these the best swords in the game. But as I said before, that's not the point of this video. That said though, you can't go wrong with these swords. They'll always remain a solid choice of weapon. Another sword that did not make the list is Mirak's sword. It has a base damage of 16 and absorbs 15 stamina with each hit. But 16 damage is not that much compared to the rest of the top 10, so I left it out. So at number 10 we have the Lunar steel sword. A lot of people don't know about this unique enchantment. The sword has a damage of 8, but at night time it will burn the target for an additional 20 points of instant damage, for a total of 28 damage. The enchantment scales with the level you are when you find it, so at level 1 it will only do 10 points of damage, but 18 damage is still better than Mirak's sword. It caps out at 20 damage when you're level 8+. And did I mention that the sword can be disenchanted, so you can put this enchantment on a Dragonbone sword or even a bow, for even more damage. That actually makes this sword the best starting weapon in the game. You can get it very early on. I'll leave the location in the description. Number 9. Next on the list we have Dragon's Bane, a Kitana lookalike. The blade has a base damage of 14. If found at a high level, it has a unique enchantment that makes it do an extra 40 points of damage to dragons. This sword is literally how you take out dragons on Master Difficulty Plus. It does 54 points of damage a hit, but it's not just situational, because it also has a shock enchantment that does 10 shock damage if the enemy is not a dragon. Shock's a great enchantment to have by the way, because most enemies in the game are not resistant to it. To summarise, that's a total of 24 damage and 54 damage versus dragons. A pretty solid choice in general, but even better if you're going hunting for dragons. I have put Dawnbreaker and Harkons sword at number 8, because they're opposites. Firstly, Dawnbreaker has a base damage of 12 and burns the target for 10 to 15 points of damage, and once more, if the target's undead, there's even a chance to cause a fiery explosion which will jump to a nearby undead target and destroy it. Apart from the awesome looking particle effect, it makes for a pretty damn good undead killer, doing a total of 22 to 27 damage with a chance of area of effect damage. And then, at the opposite side of the spectrum, we have Harkons sword. The reason why it's not higher up on the list is because you need to be a vampire to use it. Now that's great if you're a vampire, but I'm guessing that at least half of you aren't. But if you are, then it's probably the third best weapon in the game for you. Anyway, the blade has a base damage of 8. However, it absorbs 15 points of health, magicka, and stamina. That's pretty damn good guys. Firstly, absorbing enchantments are the best, because you not only take their health, stamina and magicka, but you get it for yourself. And because it's only one-handed and absorbs magicka, you can cast spells in the other hand, to either heal yourself or do more damage to the enemy.
Skyrim isn't very friendly for...
The extra stamina is great for additional power attacks, and lastly, the health absorption means you're actually doing 23 damage a hit, and healing yourself simultaneously, so it's a great choice of a weapon. In at number 7 we have Golder's Black Blade, with a base damage of 11, and an enchantment that absorbs 25 points of health with each hit, for a total of 36 damage. This is a pretty solid blade. You can also disenchant it to learn the absorb health enchantment, and the quest that you have to do to get the blade is also quite interesting. But anyway, I don't think I need to explain why it's so good, because I kind of explained that in the last one. Up at number 6, we have the Pale Blade. This blade actually has a really great quest to go with it as well, so I highly recommend doing that even if you're not going to use the sword. The Pale Blade has a base damage of 11, and a unique enchantment that does a further 25 points of frost damage, and makes creatures up to level 16 flee for 30 seconds, which is plenty of time to stab them in the back. Considering you'll be doing 36 damage a hit, I rank it just above the Golden Blade, because it has a fleeing effect, but it's a bit of a trade-off as to which one is better. I mean, why not just wield one in one hand and one in the other hand, then you get the best of both. Grabbing the number 5 spot, we have Chill Rend. It looks a bit like a glass sword, but it has a blue tint sort of colouring to it. It looks pretty cool. It has a base damage of 15, so it's as strong as a Dragonbone sword. It also has a unique enchantment that does 30 points of frost damage at its highest level, and has a chance to paralyze the target for 2 seconds. That's pretty great. You're doing a total of 45 damage a hit with a chance to paralyze them. You can also get this sword kind of sneakily at level 1, but at such a low level you'll get the weaker version of the enchantment. There is a guide on how to get it in the description though. It's easily one of the hardest hitting swords in the game, and arguably the best. However, just above it in the list, there are actually 2 swords that make up the number 4 and 3 position, because they're only good if you use them together: Soul Render and Bloodset. Both swords have a base damage of 13. Firstly, just to say, their enchantments only work if you dual wield them at the same time. Soul Render absorbs 15 magicka and also has a chance to lower the target's magic defense. Now, to be honest, this is pretty useless unless you're playing a hybrid build with a mage who uses dual swords, because otherwise you'll have to swap your swords for your spells in order to be effective. But if you're playing a hybrid mage fighter build, then it works great. The second sword, however, Bloodset, absorbs 15 health and has a chance to lower the target's armor. That's pretty powerful. As you spam attack the opponent, you'll lower their armor, always doing more and more damage. Also, did I mention that if you dual wield these with the unique Death Brand armor, then it will increase your dual attack damage by 40%. That boost makes these the best base damage swords in the game. The only reason they're here on the list is because they're actually quite situational, and to get their full use, you're forced to dual wield and wear the Death Brand armor. Number 2. The Nightingale Sword. It has a base damage of 14, that's the same as a Daedric sword. However, it's a lot lighter. Also, if you obtain it at level 46, it has a very powerful enchantment. This enchantment absorbs both 25 points of stamina and health from the target with each swing. That is damn powerful. Like I said before, absorption over outright damage. You're repeatedly power attacking the enemy by absorbing their stamina, and when you're low on health, just swap to normal attacking. Then you will absorb all their health very quickly. This means that each attack, you're actually doing a total of 39 damage. The only downside is that the enchantment does wear out quite quickly. You can stop this from happening though. I'll leave a video guide in the description of this video explaining how to do that. It makes this weapon arguably the best in the game. Even if it does run out of enchantment power though, it's still as powerful as a Daedric sword. And finally, at number 1, the best sword in the game, Shear. This sword is actually broken. It's so overpowered it's unbelievable. The sword does 11 damage each hit. However, it has a broken enchantment on it. The reason why I say broken is because it actually doesn't do what it's meant to do. Instead, what happens is that every time you hit someone with this sword, it will stagger them. This means that anyone you hit cannot fight back or even block or defend themselves. It is very, very overpowered. It even works on giants and dragons. Any enemy you come up against, you can stagger them repeatedly with this. It's a joke. Also, did I mention that the enchantment is unlimited and will never run out? If you pair this up with another sword, like the Nightingale blade, then you can stagger the enemy with Shear and then kill them with your more powerful blade, with higher damage. This sword is so overpowered that I actually advise you not to use it, because it ruins the game and makes it very easy. But that's the top 10 best swords in Skyrim. If you enjoyed the video, then make sure you subscribe for more Skyrim builds and secrets. This is the place to be for the Elder Scrolls and Fallout games. You can also come and play with me or chat with me on my Twitch channel. There's a link to that and all the locations of these weapons in the video description. Thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you in the next one.